Okay, so we'll go right now to the plant form. I'm going to go through these quickly because the speaker, we don't want to mess up his timing. He gets really nasty about it. uh, April Curtis sent this in. This is Pyrostegia venusta, and it's one of the big known AC, which used to be a single large genus, and they broke it all up, and so now it's impossible to remember in which genus some of these plants are in. But it's one of the related to the trumpet vines, if you know the trumpet vines, but blooms this time of year, so it's cool weather bloomer. It is highly frost sensitive. I did find that out. I lived in the Hollywood Hills and was growing this and lost it actually to a very severe freeze that year. So it is frost sensitive, but boy, is it ever worth growing. The color at this time of year, as April says, it's really wonderful to have that in right going into winter, right at the end of fall. I think if I remember right, also it's hummingbirds quite like this plant. Carol Bornstein sent this in. It's Justicia, it's Californica, I think. Yeah, Justicia californica. And it's Chuparosa is the common name. And normally you see this one in a brilliant scarlet color. And she's saying this one is possibly possibly Tecate gold. She didn't have a name on it, but figures it might be the cultivar called Tecate gold. And these are desert species, as she says, growing the Colorado desert and south into Baja. And it's interesting when you see these after a few weeks after a rain, they are just covered in flowers. So they respond to their environment rather quickly. It's easy to grow, full sun, well-drained soil, and don't overwater it. Although it will take some summer water because it comes from areas that do get monsoon moisture. This is ribes, and it's ribes malvaceum and chaparral currant. And I was looking things up to put them in their proper families, and I did not realize this has been changed from its original family. It's now in Grossulariaceae, it's the only, I think the ribes genus is the only genus in that family. I hope I have my terms right there. Anyway, this is one of the flowering currants, and a good plant for hummingbirds. The berries, if the berries are interesting, if you can get to them, generally they're gone before you ever get there. The birds really love them, along with just about everything else. So well worth growing. It becomes a fairly large shrub, but also if and when needed can be kind of just shaved right down to the ground and it'll pop right back up. So if it does get out of control, you can easily control this. That picture makes this look like a gigantic flower that's almost maybe an inch or an inch and a half across. And I think this is from my garden. It's the species Glad. It might be Gladiolus priorii. I'm not sure. That's what it looks like, but that species actually is extremely variable. It goes from scarlet all the way into peach tones, but everything about it looks like priorii. And this actually came out of a pan of bulbs that was given to me by Joan Citron, and it had seeded itself in because the tag was for Brodias. So I know that this probably seeded itself in from a different part of the collection that she got when someone passed away. So I'm actually going to monitor it and see if I can get some seeds off of this and see if I can start growing it. It's a cute little thing. Yvonne Savio sent in this. It's Odontonema strictum, or fire spike, and that's in I think it's Acanthaceae, and again looks like a hummingbird plant to me. A lot of these things that are blooming right now seem to be hummingbird plants. So I actually haven't grown this. She's growing it in Pasadena, and it looks quite interesting. I might have to try this. Hymenocallis festalis, or the Peruvian daffodil or spider lily. This is in Amaryllidaceae. And I don't, oddly enough, mine are not blooming. There are, although when I looked this up, there's 60 different species in this genus. So they're quite variable. Almost all of them are white and have this structure, but the structure differs. Some of them are flatter than others, some are more fragrant than others, and their bloom time seems to go across a long season from late fall all the way into spring. So easy to grow if you keep them fairly well watered. They're not hogs, but they do like some fairly moist soil and full to partial sun on almost all of the species. And this is Eochroma coccinea. I tried this and was not successful. I have a huge Eochroma cyanea, the purple one, it's gigantic and needs to actually be cut down a little bit this coming year. But I've tried this one because I love these plants. The hummingbirds adore them. They'll actually fight over these, so they're wonderful for that. And I might actually give it a try again. She said she got this from Annie's Annuals. So that might actually be worth trying once more. They're Solanaceae, they're big, soft growing plants. They're shrubs, but they'll develop a bit of hardwood and can be trimmed pretty much almost down to the ground if you need to. They're a lot like angel's trumpets, the Brugmansias. They're a distant relative, and you can kind of see it in the structure when you look at it and look at the foliage as well. It's got that same sort of fuzzy underside of the leaves, and although this one looks a little glossier. So that's it for the plant forum. And I think I will just go right into the talk.
Go for it, Steve.
All right.
Just a reminder to everyone as well, if you have any questions or comments for Steve, please feel free to use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, and we will answer all of your questions towards the end of the presentation, okay? And then we will also do our giveaway raffle at the end of the meeting too.
Very good. And yes, you do need to actually stay on. If you win the raffle, you need to stay on, because I actually have the book and the pruning shears, and we'll need to get all of your information so I can get them to you. I'll either ship it or deliver it in person with a mask. So shall I actually wait for 7:30 to strike before starting this? Because we do give the time as 7:30.
If you want to talk a little more about any of the plants from the plant forum or what's blooming in your garden right now.
The only other thing, I actually meant to put up a ruscus, and I even forgot. I didn't put it up, so I didn't look up the species. It's the one with the smaller leaves, and it looks like a perfect little Christmas tree right now. It's dark green, evergreen foliage with red berries, and they look exactly like ornaments on a little pyramid-shaped plant. That's they're extremely spiny, but they're wonderful. The very tough little plant, but I'll try and remember to get that species. It's not the regular ruscus that's easily available. This is the one that's very difficult to find, with the tiny foliage that looks like myrtle. So I'll put up a picture of that on Facebook in the next week or so, sometime in the next week.
Yes, please, and tag us in it so we can also share it too.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Actually, Steve, we do have a question from Claudette P.
Mm-hmm.
Can you please tell me the growing zones for ribes, odontomina, I may be saying these words wrong, and Eochroma?
All of them will grow in, let's see, they are all The Eochroma is probably more coastal. It's frost sensitive. So I don't know which of like sunset zones it would grow in. You probably could, I doubt you could get away with it in the high desert. It's from the highlands in Mexico and down into Central America. So I don't think it would respond all that well. The ribes, I'm pretty sure is probably from the coastal mountain ranges down to the coast and somewhat inland, but not into the either deserts or the, and Carol could probably tell you better on this one. I'm trying to think of the range maps I've seen for ribes. With the ribes, you can go to CalFlora and look at actually at where that occurs. And you can find out if you're anywhere near those zones. If you're anywhere in, you know, pretty much towards the coast in Southern California, and what I mean by that is even from the San Fernando Valley out to the coast, you can grow the ribes. It'll grow pretty much anywhere that, and it'll grow up into the mountains and with frost and all the rest of it. They're with some frost, they're fairly hardy. So
And Carol Bornstein also says that ribes grow in the San Gabriel Mountains.
San Gabriel Mountain. Okay, I thought that they were local mountain species, but and the what was it? The Odontonema, that's another one. I think if I remember properly, that's also from Mexico. I need to go back and look at that. Another one that like Eochroma, it's going to be frost tender, but otherwise, if you protect it, if it's grown in a protected location, it'll probably survive down to 28 for a short period of time, you know, a day or two, and not, it might get burned back, but it would still be hardy enough to deal with that. I've certainly grown my Eochroma actually has taken really quite hard frost. It's in a frost, it's in a kind of a draw in my yard that tends to get colder than anywhere else. I'm on a hillside that's a bit of a saddle, and the cold air kind of rolls right over that saddle, and the Eochroma is down in one of the coldest parts of my driveway, and it gets frozen back, and literally by March or April, it's popped back and it's shrugged off the whole thing. So